Hello everyone, my name is Paul Third, and you guessed it, I'm here today to speak to you about the IK Multimedia Precision 5 Mark II. Now, I intentionally have delayed it because I did not know just how many other YouTubers in my circle were going to make videos on this on release day. So I'm not going to lie, I did go on a little bit of a cream puff, went in the huff, and I wasn't too pleased that there was so many videos on release day because I don't really like everybody getting spammed. So I do feel there was you did get spammed a little bit. So I've left it like 2-3 weeks or however long it is now to make this. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you my opinion on these from the perspective of somebody that's had the MTM Precisions, the Mark 1s, for over a year. I had the Precisions in the Atmos room, and then I most recently, probably about 3-4 months ago, moved them into the control room. And I use them a lot for tracking, and also I use them for mixing as well. Now, obviously, the sound that I know very well from the Precision line is the MTM format, which is very different from this, which is your standard kind of two-way design. Again, there is no extra woofer on top. It is just woofer, tweeter. Simple as that, standard two-way design. Now, by the way, I'm not going to go too much into the features and all the marketing jargon and stuff because you've already been told all that. I will leave a video link to Ed Thorne, my good friend Ed Thorne that I do the Working Audio Tools podcast with. I'm going to leave a link to his review in the description. So if you want to get all of the fucking specs and all the marketing jargon and all the feature set and blah, then again, you can get all that from his video. But today I'm just going to talk to you about sound, which is the most important at the end of the day. I'm trying to get this fucking... Honestly, I feel like this is the heaviest baby. Like if this was a baby, this would be a chunk. Now, this hefty speaker baby does sound a lot different to the MTMs. The biggest difference that I hear, obviously, the MTM... We'll get the MTM and standard two-way design out the way first. The MTM design, for me, has a much better phantom center. It's one of the things that I like about it, is that it makes the thing sound very forward. So your vocals sound a lot more forward and you get a better phantom center. You do not get as good a phantom center with the Precision 5s, and I probably think it would be the same with the 6s. That's just an MTM thing for me, from the MTMs that I've heard. And I'm a little bit annoyed that they didn't send me the MTM Mark 2s, because I'm like, that's what I wanted. But I got a chance to hear these. So the tweeter is the thing that's the most important thing. And this is kind of the main thing that they've upgraded. I've upgraded a few internal things, but the tweeter is the most important thing in this design. It is harder. Like in the MTM Precisions, the tweeter's a lot softer, but this is actually a lot more rigid. People will be freaking out going, don't touch it, don't touch it. It's not going to break. Like, Jesus Christ, it's a tweeter. But yes, the tweeter is the thing that I noticed the most with this speaker. And for me, what it does is it gives you a cleaner, so lower distortion, which again is part of the marketing. But I would agree that it is lower distortion, it's cleaner, and it's faster as well. You can really get localization of things really, really easily. In regards to its sound, I would say imaging is the thing that these speakers excel at. If I was to compare them to a headphone, something like the HiFiMan Edition XS, if you've ever heard that, that's how I would kind of compare these. I would say these are like the Edition XS of speakers, where the top end of everything is really fast, so your localization of things is very good. It makes editing a breeze, because again, you've got the speed of those top end clicks. But for me, the imaging is the thing that just is a standout. I feel that panning is an absolute breeze. I can hear everything effortlessly, which I find a little bit difficult with the MTM Precisions, is you've got the really good phantom center, but everything can sometimes sound a little bit overly wide. MTM Precisions remind me of the HiFiMan and Anda Nanos a little bit, where it's kind of very mid-focused, but the sides are almost a little bit too wide. So I don't really trust the MTMs as much when it comes to panning and imaging decisions. But for me, reverb tails, again, really, really good for that. Depth, it's got good depth as well, but I do feel you lose the phantom center, so they don't sound as forward to me. But honestly, for me personally, this is probably going to be a dream for Atmos. If you're an Atmos mixer, these are going to be the ones that I think are going to work really well for you, because in Atmos, it's all about localization. that's really what you're looking for. So you do really need quite a fast tweeter, and it's something that I do miss in my Kali LP setup because it is quite a relatively slow speaker, so I don't get as good localization as I would like. But with these, the image is fantastic, and it's a super clean image as well, where it just all sounds really, really cohesive. But there are things about this that would make me not want to use it. So whilst the speed of the tweeter is really, 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 really good, and honestly, I think they've done an exceptional job at this price point to deliver that amount of clarity. I mean, you're kind of getting on the verge of nearly Neumann-ish. I think Neumanns are just a little bit more sharper, but it's getting there for the price point. It's the woofer for me that lets it down. Now, obviously, this is a 5-inch woofer, so you're not going to get a lot of low-end extension anyway, but the issue that I've got is that this is fast, this is quite sluggish. On the MTMs, it doesn't really bother me as much because they feel like they're all at the same speed. Like the tweeter is roughly at the same speed as the woofer, so it sounds relatively consistent, where for me, the two of them don't really speak together. So you've got like a lot of the speed from the top end, and you've got low end in there, but it's not fast, and it's not relatively that clean either. It's punchy, it's got a punch to it, but what I feel it lacks is the fundamental transient. So obviously when you think about transients, many people think of transients as just sibilance and like top end, right? Just top end clicks and stuff. You get fundamental transients. So for example, in the heads, in the Type 07A cores, what they excel at in the woofer or the mid-driver is that you really get the grabbiness of the fundamental frequencies. So like if it's a kick drum, you really hear the punch of that, 80 hertz. If it's a snare, you really get that 180, 200, 220. In guitars, you really hear the body of those transients, those lower end transients, those fundamental transients. And it's something that it really excels at. This woofer doesn't really have the speed or the grabbiness or the clarity to be able to produce what this does. So it feels a little bit disjointed. And for me, when I say scooped, it's not scooped like a fucking like Yamaha like HS5 or something like that. It's just more about having the speed up top, but not having that much speed in the fundamental. And what it tries to do, and it kind of does it well to an extent, but essentially what you've got is, right, you've got like this, right? So you've got like a rear like reflex port. Now there's other stuff going on, stuff that again Dunning-Kruger comes in, and I have to admit the other stuff that I just don't know. But it does sound a lot bigger than its size, and that's something that the IK speakers have always done really well. But what I find with these is that it's fake bass, in my opinion. It's like overly distorted low end, where it doesn't, when I say distorted low end, right, it's coloured low end. So whilst it's giving you that feeling of, yeah, man, these extend really low down, like on the back of the speaker, like it gives you an option around here, right? It gives you an option of a high pass filter in there. So you've got full, which is just like full frequency extension, and you've got a high pass filter at 50, and then you've got an LFE for 80 hertz if you were going to use it with a sub. Now the 50 hertz option for me is what I always use with the speaker. So I always use the high pass filter at 50 hertz. I feel like I'm holding a baby. It's so strange. But what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the high pass filter. I always feel that these speakers are trying to almost fake the low end, where if you really want to hear the low end as it's produced, like the low end that this speaker actually does produce down to, which I think is maybe, I don't know, I think it's like 48 hertz or something like that. If I'm wrong, I'll put it in the bottom here. But either way, what the high pass filter at 50 hertz does is that it doesn't stress out the woofer, and you get much, much, much cleaner low end. So yeah, you miss the extension, the feel of low end, but the low end that you're actually working with is a lot more detailed, and it's not as coloured and distorted. And that's the thing with the MTM Precisions. They do it a little bit better because they've got more headroom. But even with the MTM Precisions, I still use a high pass in the Archec software, which is another upgrade that they've made. So instead of having Monitor X, you now have Archecs, which for me is the thing that they should have really done a long time ago, because I've got the Arc Studio box that I'm using for the heads, and I've used with every other speaker that's not been the MTM Precisions. And what they do is they give you all of the measurement options. So you can choose between a 1 point, 7 point, 21 point, and you can also choose your sweet spot as well. So with the MTM Precisions, in the position that they're normally in, I'm testing the Kali flagship $5,000 like SMH just now. So in the position that they're in, what I like to do with the MTM Precisions is use the sweet spot calibration, where it basically gives you a calibration for me here and the couch behind me, and it works flawlessly. It's really, 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 really good. Where before with Monitor X, it was pretty limited, and I'm pretty sure you could only do a maximum of 4 points. It was basically like a square. And I always felt that the calibration internally for the MTM Precisions and all the Mark 1 Precisions it just wasn't as good as Arc Studio. It just wasn't as detailed for me. 4 points just, like, in my opinion, isn't enough. I think the way that they do it with the 7 points is really good, and if you want to go even further, the 21 points at 3 different heights, it just does a really good job, and I really, really, really do recommend the... Why do I feel like I'm holding a baby? This is so weird. I feel like I'm holding its head up. I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. Your way gets sold on eBay, but your way go up for adoption. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, I think that it's a difficult sell for me at the price point. $1,200 for a 5-inch is a little bit too much for me, especially considering that for an extra £200 you can jump up to the Precision 6s, which are a 6.5-inch woofer. This is a 5-inch woofer, and the 6s are a 6.5-inch woofer. So you're going to get more low-end extension, and it's going to have more headroom in it. I'd still obviously use the high pass, and I would do that on ARC-X with the Precision 6s instead of using it at the back, because even on the back of the 6s, it's full 50 and 80. You're going to get a little bit more low-end frequency extension with the 6s, so I'd use the high pass filter in ARC-X. But either way, right, I suppose the question is, Paul, would you consider mixing professionally on the MTM Precision 5 Mark IIs? I'll caveat yes, but with a sub. These with a sub, I think will be fantastic, because it's going to fix a lot of the sluggishness of the woofer. If you get a really good sub, I think this would work really, really, really well. If you get the sub to do a lot of the heavy lifting, and it's something that I wonder why IK Multimedia have not made yet. They've not made a sub yet. IK Multimedia, get on it, make a sub, and make sure you send it to me, because I could do it with an extra sub. I could do it with an extra sub in this room. I think for imaging wise, if you're somebody that, you know, maybe has a pair of speakers or a pair of headphones that are very dynamic and, you know, give you a lot of energy, but you kind of struggle with imaging, I think these could be the perfect imaging speaker for you. If you struggle with panning and depth and reverb and stuff like that, I think these could be arguably one of the best speakers for you at this price point to judge imaging, to judge soundstage, to judge reverb tails and stuff. That is something that I do struggle with the MTM Precision Mark 1s. However, the reason that I've decided to keep the MTM Precision Mark 1s is because I like the consistency of the tweeter. As much as this is faster, I just don't like that sluggish, and the two of them don't really keep up for me, which kind of makes things sound a little bit scooped a little bit to me, because you've got the detail up top and the energy up top. You've got all this extended kind of low end down here, and then kind of you've not really got the forwardness of the fundamentals. And I do kind of lack the phantom center with these. I don't feel like vocals come out as much, and I don't feel like they're kind of out in front grabbing my attention, which is what the SM8s do unbelievably well. Honestly, they're just so clean, so linear, just everything's the way that I would want it. They just sound like a fucking near perfect pair of hyphemans, honestly. So yeah, it's a bit of a tough sell for me, considering that the head Typo 7A cores I think are slightly cheaper as well. However, you are going to need to buy an Arc Studio box like what I've got set up there. But to be honest, if somebody was to say to me, Paul, you've got these at like £1,200 a pair, and you've got like the head Typo 7A cores, and you can buy, you know, a Arc Studio box which now has ARC-X compatibility as well, I would take the heads in the Arc Studio box every single day over these. The heads have just got a different sound to them. It's a different sound. A part of me did want to keep them just for imaging. But I've got headphones that deliver perfect imaging for me. If you don't have that in your headphones, then I do think that you will be surprised at just how good the imaging is on these. Honestly, if you've never listened to Hyphaman Edition XS, listen to them, and then that's kind of, to me, what the kind of quality of the imaging is. When it comes to Precision 5 versus Precision 6, I would definitely advise the Precision 6. I can't even say it anymore. Unless you've got an Atmos setup, because obviously you could use a sub to cross over all the speakers, so you can get your low end out of that, which then means you're going to save a lot more money going with these. So yes, for Atmos, I would say these are one of the best speakers out there, in my opinion, right now for Atmos. These will do an exceptional job, and I'm so gutted that I don't have these in my Atmos room. I would have these in a heartbeat in my Atmos room. But for stereo mixing, I do think there are better options out there. And yeah, if you are using Precisions, please consider using the high pass filter in there. I know it sounds good. I know it gives you that feel in a low end, but it's fake bass. It's not real clean linear low end. It's going to genuinely lead you down the wrong path. Your counter translation won't be great. Yes, it's impressive what they've done to make it feel like it's bigger, but it's not accurate low end. So there you have it. There is my honest opinion on the IK Multimedia Precision 5 Mark II. All these long names and letters. God, right, I'm done. My name is Paul Third, and I'll see you when I see you.